this is for wireless. Not everything.
I used to use this to try one
New variable in our setup live streaming here. So, for the time being, I have
it's good for two
it's
fashions.
just kind of push the button and walk over. Let's see.
I know how to fix it. I'm gonna fix that.
Yeah, so that's what's new here.
Right. That's nice. Seriously? The house was built in 2000. Yeah, it's new.
Some things that fluctuate.
But it's still.
Rain live streaming this maybe I don't need this is an audio.
But not on the trail. Between Columbia Elementary and
We used to use that for
but I'm waiting for past it.
I guess I'm going to start here. I'm going to make it start here.
But yeah, it's pretty nice. Older homes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've like too. So like and then I've had
You see Josh?
Test. All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome back to Forum. It has been a nice summer break. Hope you all have had a good year. It's felt like a long summer to me. I can hardly remember when Emily and Elizabeth and Kayla came to us first with this topic. It was only in February.
Sorry.
It was in February.
Yes, in
Yeah,
February.
it seems like last year or the year before. But anyway, some quick announcements on Forum. I want to put in a plug here for our upcoming semester. So next week, the 21st, the Stephen Ministry team will be here and we'll be conducting a panel. And it'll be led by Steve Fail. And that'll be on caring for loved ones in our family with dementia. And so you won't want to miss that topic. And then the following week on the 28th, we'll have Stephanie Izagari here. She's an immigration attorney. She was here last year. It was in April, and extremely topical issue in our nation right now. It's only gotten worse, and so you're going to want to come for a refresher with Stephanie Izagari. And then also, I just want to introduce some new team members. I have Meadow Robertson, who's joining my forum team. And so you'll want to welcome them. And they'll be helping me with some setup and some of the admin behind the scenes of the forum, bringing in speakers. And so if any of you would like to reach out to me with your suggestions and ideas, I always welcome them. So thank you for being here with us for the forum. And then so today we have, like I said, Emily, and Elizabeth, and Kayla participated in an awesome service trip to Guatemala. And so today we have board members of that organization here with us. I'm going to turn it over to Emily to introduce them.
Do I need the microphone?
Probably not.
What?
I'll park it here just in case.
Just talk like you do at home.
Okay, so my mom's always telling me to keep it down. Good morning, thank you so much for coming. So yes, Elizabeth and Kayla and I all went to Guatemala last October and had the time of our lives, a trip of a lifetime even, and had the opportunity to meet and get to know Greg and Rachael, who are the executive directors of Porch de Salomon, which is located in Rachael, which is a lovely, lovely lakeside town, which they will, I'm sure, talk about, but right in Guatemala and in the mountains. That is exactly what it looks like. It is breathtaking. And we were so excited to come home and share the wealth and the knowledge of what we experienced. And then they reached out to me a few months ago and said, we want to come visit. And in fact, they're doing a bit of a tour this week of Colorado. They've been working with the UCC Church up in Crested Butte for 12, 15 years almost, and have had lots of service trips with that congregation. So that was actually how we got to go along in the first place, because I'm actually still a member of that church. And so now we're hoping to start a new relationship here with our congregation, and then they have another church that they're going to be talking to in Fort Collins. But that's enough for me. I turn it over to Rachel and Greg. Thank you.
Wow, I feel like I have to fill in for big shoes. I'm not that great, really, at all. We want to stay for, was it next week, the dementia?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, really, like Rachel's mom has been struggling with that, and it has been such a journey. And so if you have a loved one or anybody that's walking through that, just praying for you, because wow, that is a hard life, and it's really, really difficult.
It's good
And
that
so
you're having
to have that type of open forum to be able to talk about that, I'm excited for you guys and what's going to happen. So yeah, I'm Greg, and this is my beautiful wife Rachel. We've been married almost 33 years, high school sweethearts. No, thank you so much. But we do love what we get to do, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about, well, let's just start with the city of where we work. It was mentioned, Panachel. It's absolutely gorgeous. We are on Lake Atitlan, which is one of the most beautiful lakes in the world. And we are nestled right there. That's our home where we host the teams. And so we host teams in Panachel, but we actually serve in the highlands up where the Mayan villages are. And that's where a lot of our main work is going to be. And so, yeah, we actually host you right here at the Hotel California. Such a lovely place, right? But yeah, we were actually team leaders. We were coming there, and here's me, younger me, and my twin. We used to start micro businesses when we would bring our teams. So we would work on a house, and then we would go start a micro business. And in doing that, we started a pig farm that year. And so that's me and him. And you'll notice Rachel over here. She's laying block. All of our builders, when we show up at the job site, ask her to lay the block. They tell me to go play with the children. And I absolutely love that, because one thing about Porch de Salomon, and you're probably going to hear this a few times from us, is play is work. Because the entire reason people come down to Guatemala isn't just to build a house. It's to build those relationships. It's to get to know the people. It's to give your heart away and receive the heart of the people. And so we really, really, really enjoy that. So this is our family. This is Agnes. She's the one that's struggling with dementia. And then her husband, Ed, they've been married 60-something years, and he's just had to walk that hard journey, like what we were just talking about day in and day out. These are our children. Our adult children are on the far right. That's Grace. She's going to be giving us our first grandchild in December. We're very excited. And then that is our son in the middle. He's 28 years old. And then our daughter, Emma, our youngest, is right next to Papa. Her husband is over here, Trey. And Grace's husband, Simeon, is on the other shoulder. So when we get on an airplane and leave the United States, we're sad because we're leaving to go be away from our family, and we love our family, but we're also excited.
So the reason we're excited is because we have a staff in Guatemala that has now become our family. So we have a home in Guatemala, or a family in Guatemala and a family here in the States. And so our staff consists of 27 people. We have a hotel staff, humanitarian staff. You guys have met our staff, and they can attest to how lovely they are. They have such a servant's heart. With our staff, we always like to say that we are joining their ministry there in Guatemala. So when teams come, it's not about us. It's not about the team. These people are there to serve their people, and we want to help and join them in that. And so we have, like I said, a hotel staff, humanitarian staff, and our building team, which you guys get to work with and get to know them as well. So
I think you went too fast. I know everybody's brains are racing. The girl in the lower right, she's not Guatemalan. She's one of our interns, long-term interns that's working with us, partnering with us for years. So people ask us a lot of times, what is it that you do at Porch de Salomon? And it's really hard to nail to a wall to say this is what we do, because we're very eclectic. We basically go where we feel God is calling us to go. We get involved in many different things. This invisible crisis right here that CNN wrote about is talking about the need for a high-protein diet from conception all the way to the second birthday. It is so important for the physical body, but also for the mind to develop. And so we do think that this is a Band-Aid. Feeding programs are a Band-Aid, but they're needed. We would love to continue to push people forward to try to be able to provide for themselves. And so we continue to walk the journey with people with the hopes that we're going to get them to another place.
So, just want to give you an example of how Porch works. This is Ingrid. So when Ingrid was in school, her teacher noticed her decline. And so she reached out to the government social workers, who then reached out to Porch de Salomon and said, can you please help? And our staff immediately got involved. Our staff made sure that she had medical attention right away. And then they tried to educate the family on nourishment and the things that she needed. Of course, we provided vitamins and food for the family. But when we get involved with the family, we get involved with the family completely, and then that family becomes a part of our family. So we are not in and out of people's lives. We like to have long-term relationships with the people that we are there to serve. And so you can see Ingrid changed over just a period of 4 months. But after getting involved, our staff went to the home several times to do house visits and to check up on her, and they noticed that they needed a new home. So teams came, like Elizabeth and Emily, they came, and the teams came and they started to build this home, but more so they started building relationships with this family and their children, and they noticed, oh, well, all of these children need school scholarships. They need help. And so each child then was sponsored as the teams were there working, and you can see they have a new home. So one thing tends to lead to another. And here's some other things that we do.
Yeah, I love that Rachel referred back to that relationship piece, because we do. Like that particular house, Rachel and I personally have been back to that house probably 6, 7, 8 times just to see the family again. And that our staff does a lot more follow-up than we do. But we know that we're not going to fix everybody's problem. There's so many, and sometimes that makes you want to not move because you just feel overwhelmed with all the needs. So what we do is just lean into where God leads us to be and try to do it as best we can. But sometimes it might just be something a little bit smaller. For example, the stoves that you just saw. The people have to go look for wood or buy wood so that they can cook. And a lot of times it's on an open fire inside their one-room house that's leaking, that has cracks that wind blows through, dirt floors, black walls. You can imagine what the lungs are like, right? They're black as well. When I go in, I struggle even opening my eyes for more than 5 seconds. It just burns. And so we can come in with something as simple as this Equiplancha stove. And for us, a lot of times when something like this happens to us, we have more resources. And so we go, oh, we can go on vacation. We have a little extra money. They're able to go to the next need, not the next want. And so this stove is 60% more efficient. So not only do we vent it out of the house, but it's also so much more efficient that they don't have to spend as much time looking for wood or as much resources to buy the wood. And so we're helping some families with something as small as an Equiplancha stove. Fresh drinking water. We take a lot for granted in the United States of America about access to fresh drinking water. It's not true there, and there's a misnomer, a misunderstanding that Guatemalans can drink the water. They're fine. They've been around it. No, they can't. As a matter of fact, if those bugs get into small children's stomachs and they get diarrhea, they don't have the resources to go get the medicine. And it can lead to death. something as simple as diarrhea, something that you and I would just go to CVS or Walgreens and we would take care of business. They don't have that. And so to be able to give them access to clean drinking water is also an initiative that we're involved in. And so we know that we're not going to build a house for everybody, but we do want to help surface level as we can.
So we also have a school scholarship program. There are their cheers.
It looks like a pep rally. We have so many students now. It's amazing.
So we have over 200 students in our scholarship program. And we love this again because we love the relational part of the school scholarship program. We have one of our directors. She's in charge of it. And she's like the mother, the big brother, the administrator. She's all those things to over 200 children. So she checks their grades. Once a month they have to bring in their grades. There's accountability, but also whatever need they have. If the family needs medicine, sometimes they'll say, well, they can't go to school because we need to spend all of our resources on now my mother's sick. So we try to step in and provide things like that. Whatever the need is, that the problem is that's keeping them out of school, we want to meet that need to help them stay in school. So we love this program. I just want to share with you a story of Estrus. So Estrus, family from California came and said, we would love to sponsor a student. Can we sponsor a student who is our son's age? And so they met Estrus, and every year they would come back and visit us and meet with Estrus, take him out to dinner and just invest in his life and develop a relationship with him. Well, over time, when it was time for him to graduate, they said, okay, well, what now? What are you going to do now? And he was shocked. He was, well, I would really love to become a mechanic. So they're like, let's do it. So then they paid for him to go to school, to mechanic school. And then after that, after years, he opened his own mechanic shop. And in so doing, he told them when they visited, he was like, he showed them, but he said, I'm so sorry it took me so long. And they were like, don't apologize, we're so proud of you. And so this relationship continues because now Estrus has a family, and he has his own child. And so what do you think this family from California is going to do now? They're ready to sponsor his child in school. And so I love that story. I love the fact that it changes lives. Education is so important, and in Guatemala, most students drop out in 3rd grade. And it's not because they don't enjoy school. They want to go to school, but they can't because they see a need. They look around and they see their siblings, like, my siblings are hungry. I'm able. I can go to work with my mom and dad in the fields, or I can work at the tienda or whatever other job they might find, and I can provide a little bit of money to help. And so this program we think is one of the most vital programs to help people long term with their future, right? It's so sad to see so many kids not in school for different reasons. So we really, really, really strive to keep these kids in school.
About what grade do they go to school till?
So they can go to school until their adulthood, like here, 18 years, but it's very rare, and it's especially rare for women. Oftentimes, women will drop out early to help with the household, going to find that wood, like Greg was saying, or helping with whatever chores are around the house. It's very difficult to be a woman in Guatemala. It's especially difficult if you're a woman and you're an indigenous woman. So, and if you're an indigenous woman without an education, it's even more difficult. Often there's a very machismo culture there, so often the men will leave and abandon the women and their family. And so Porch tries to step in. We love to help complete families with a husband and a wife, and mom and dad and kids. We love to step into that and try to keep that family complete, but we often help women, women who no longer have support from their husband or they've been abandoned. So in doing so, this is a story of a young woman with 2 beautiful children, and her husband loved his family, and he came here to work in the States, and then he would take the money back and he built them a home, a nice home, but he built it on the family's property, on his father's property. And when he came back here to work to the States, he got a tumor, and within 4 months it was cancerous and he passed away. So then back in Guatemala, there was a conflict with her and her father-in-law, and he said, "This is my land, this is my house, you leave." And she has no rights there, no rights at all. And so we step into families who have these situations and build their homes, safe homes, where they have a place where they can have hope, hope for a better future. So it's very, very difficult. There's a lot of discrimination in Guatemala with the indigenous, and so we try to help the indigenous populations, but at the same time, especially widows and orphans. And so when we build homes, we make sure that the property has to be in the woman's name. So if it's not in the woman's name, then it has to be in the children's name. It can't be in a man's name. So.
On that slide right there, go back to that slide. So I'm just going to confess my humanness, okay, in this picture. When you see things like this, and you look at these beautiful children and his beautiful wife, and you know that there's a grandfather that was so selfish, kicked them out of the home that their dad made money for. Like, I personally, in my spirit, the old me wants to go and have a talk with grandfather behind the woodshed. You know what I'm talking about? Like, let's do some justice here. Like, let's be about justice. And if we're not careful, and this is me speaking to self, you can listen to me talking to myself, I have to leave room for God, right? Because God had a different plan, and justice was still going to be there. Now, because all that happened, which was bad, God can use for good in the sense that now we, through Porch de Salomon, stepped into their lives, and now they have the experience of understanding love, grace, and hope. They have their own home. They have their own business. And all of that comes through justice. And so we are so grateful for that. So we do build houses, and we do build steel reinforced block homes, and they are so strong. We have a lot of earthquakes, 30-something volcanoes in our country, so it's a very turbulent area. And so we try to build houses that are going to be generational wealth building, and they are absolutely gorgeous. And our staff takes great pride in handing over a house to a family that they themselves would love to live in themselves. So that's what we do. Rachel and I have led many teams, and this is the type of work. It's just about teamwork, making things happen. Along the lines, I just want to bring you back to the point that there's a family that's working alongside of you, sometimes a community working alongside of you. So to pause, to play, to talk, we have interpreters on the job site with you, to get to know the people behind them. Like, it is just so important. So we absolutely love the houses, but it is kind of like a focal point for us, but at the same time, it's also a place where we try to use that to springboard into the community and springboard into what can we then do next.
Don't let the visual affect the way that you feel about the work that we do, because you can ask these two. There's a job for everyone. There's a job for absolutely everyone. So
I just sat on the ground a little bit.
And not just, I love that.
Picture right here, in here, of Elizabeth sitting with all the children under a tree,
You can pick up copies here later. But yeah, you're right in here. Sitting under a tree,
How about that?
singing with the children
Oh,
and
so
reading.
Yeah, so beautiful. So there is a job for everything. Play is work, we say. And so there's tasks of just sitting and cutting wire in the shade. There's just something for everyone. So
When your teams come down to work, your volunteers and your hired team, that's part of your nonprofit, where do the teams that are visiting, where do they stay?
At the Hotel California.
Oh, okay.
It's a lovely place.
Such a lovely place.
You can check it out.
But your
It's
heart
hard to
will
leave
never
your
leave.
heart,
Your
yeah.
heart will never leave. Am I right? Your heart's still there, right?
yeah.
It's a charming spot.
Yeah.
It is. It's a vacation town. It's actually a vacation town. A lot of people from Guatemala, when they have a 3-day weekend or something like that, they may venture to go see the lake. And so there's a lot of restaurants and live music, and so a lot of art. And it's a wonderful place to visit. So Rachel and I would be remiss without telling a story, because a lot of times you get these broad brush ideas about what we do, but what we really do, it boils down to those relationships. And so you're not supposed to have favorites, right? This family is really one of my favorites. And so when you go from where they were to where they are, by God's grace, it is an absolute amazing story. So Maria and Alberto, they've been on Porch de Salomon's radar for about 8 or 9 years prior. Both are HIV positive, full-blown AIDS for Alberto. They didn't have land in the mother's name, so we couldn't move. We couldn't do anything. But we were involved because she was pregnant with little Matilde, that sweet little girl in the middle who has the gold smile, and just so cute. She was pregnant with Matilde, and she knew she wasn't going to be able to breastfeed. And so we got involved with milk and high protein diet. So we've been involved. And when we finally found out, like, one of our staff members talked to Alberto's mother, who was the landowner, and really explained, and our staff is indigenous. Okay, so they are right there with the people, speaking the Mayan languages with them. So they are serving their own people, and we're helping them serve their people. And so as they're doing that, she was able to talk her into turning the land over in Maria's name because of her grandchildren.
in the children's.
Yeah, because of those grandchildren. So our staff was able to help her see the light. This is not about Alberto and Maria. This is about the next generation. So when we finally started working and getting involved with them, we noticed that the community had nothing to do with them. You want to talk about the Good Samaritan crossing on the other side of the road? I don't know if you remember the story where everybody was crossing over the other side of the road, just looking at the pitiful person, giving no help, ignoring. That's exactly what this family was. Nobody in their community had anything to do with them, even their own family. They were staying in a little shed that somebody let them sleep in. It had no electricity, no water, dirt floors, everything that you could imagine. Like, it's up on top of the mountain, wind blowing straight through, and it was cold. It was an awful environment. We went to go check and make sure their viral loads were good so that we could make sure that we could bring teams to be safely involved in this build. We were going to build no matter what, but we wanted teams' involvement. Everything worked out beautifully, but while we were there, cute little Matilde and a teenager were throwing a ball in the yard. And there were other little children out looking in the periphery. And what they noticed was when they invited the other children over, Matilde said, "They're not allowed to play with us." In a country, a third world country, with very little hope for the masses, these are the hopeless of the hopeless, who didn't even have a community. They lived amongst, but not with. And so when we got involved, we knew that this was going to be a very hard build, but we decided to challenge the teams, even more so than ever. Normalize this family. Use whatever way feasible to try to help people realize that they're okay to connect with, to be a part with. And we'll let Rachael explain some of the things that we did with the teams.
So, like Greg said, when we stepped into this family's life that was so destitute, he forgot to mention that the one little girl, the oldest, Louisa, she wasn't even there the first time we went. We asked where she was. The family had sent her away at the age of 8 to work in another city to be an indentured servant to another family. So from 8 to 12, when we started to build the home, they brought her back. So from 8 to 12, they had to send her away. And not because they didn't love her, but they just couldn't take care of everyone. And so she was able to get a little bit of money for that.
That was actually an act of love, so that she could have food. They didn't have enough food. And so it's weird for my brain to function what Rachel just said, but that was an act of love so she could eat.
So when we told the teams, okay, make this connection, they went above and beyond. It was beautiful. So they literally went through the community, and it's a farming community, so there's corn that's really high, and you couldn't even see the houses. They went through the cornfield and found all the children. And they did fiestas and piñatas and Bible school, just so many different things to connect with the kids. So every day, this population of children, and then their families started coming out with them to see what crazy things are going on today, right?
Especially at the pizza party.
Oh my goodness, it was so much fun. So, but what the teens would say is, we want you to meet our friends, and introduced, the family. These are our friends. We're here because of them. And you could see throughout the time, because we're building a house for about 10 to 12 weeks, you can see over time the community just coming and getting more and more closer, and the children interacting with other children. The young man, Cesar, Greg loves the moment that we're watching the children play freeze tag. And before it was like, we can't play with them. And then they're begging Cesar, like, touch me, freeze me, unfreeze me. And so another church from Georgia said, we want to do a water initiative. And Greg and our staff had the brilliant idea to say, let's do it in this community. And so this is Maria, and Maria was in charge of finding the families and passing out the water filters to her community that had rejected her community that had shunned her. And it was very humbling. But Maria that day told our staff, you have changed my life. You have changed my life. And at the dedication, it was beautiful because their own family was shunning them as well. But at the dedication, neighbors came and brought housewarming gifts throughout the community. So it was beautiful. You want to talk about the micro-business?
It was a huge win, and that's why this is one of my favorites. But we do try to also end it with some type of micro-business, because we would love to end it where people have the dignity to be able to make their own money. And so with this family, we got a weaving business for the mother, Maria, but come to find out, we visited her again, she sold that business. I was like, what? But she knows about a bead business, and so she bought out a bead business, and now she has other ladies in the community working under her. So she's just working out of the house, creating these little bead design things, but also having other people make them as well and delivering them and selling. So she has actually become this great businesswoman. And then you see the cow right there. His name is David. The reason his name is David, he lives in Casa de David, is because there was a team member that was talking to Alberto, and he's blind. It has already removed his vision. He can barely see. He has to get really close. He can hardly hear. And he said, I know how to raise bulls. My mother always raised bulls. If I just could raise a bull. He's got a bull. And he's raising this bull. It costs $750, and when David gets nice and big and fat, he's going to make them another $750 in addition to recouping. And he's going to have his own way, because his wife was actually not having to just provide for the children, but for him. And now he has a way of being a part of that, and that's through David. And so it's just wonderful. We love the micro business program very, very much. And so we have an initiative that we want to keep growing this, because we would love to start to see the economy move and shift in Guatemala. And so we're pushing into this. We have our own educational team that works on having it. And one of the ladies that came, one of our former people that we started a business, it was a chicken business. They were helping teach and coach each other even. And she said, I took the money that I made and I invested into a used corn grinder. And so now she has 2 businesses. And then she shuffled the money again and bought a loom. So now she has a weaving business. And so here's this woman that was given the hope of her own chicken business and went further and further, and was able to speak that to these other new business owners to say, don't just be satisfied for today. Keep going.
So in addition to all of that, we also host dental and medical clinics. One of the dental clinics came from Crescent View, Colorado, one of the ones that we hosted. This particular clinic from Tennessee came, and just an example, you can imagine having a toothache, right? You're like, you can't endure it very long. This young lady, her entire mouth was infected. All of her teeth were abscessed. And the dentist was so apologetic and said, I'm going to have to pull all of her teeth. She's 22 years old. And so I just went around the corner and cried because I could not even begin to imagine. And, but the dentist, they did what they needed to do. And then he said, find her. We're not done. We want to make sure that she gets a new smile. And so our staff worked really hard to find her and to set up all the appointments she needed to get her new smile. So the dental clinics, they do relieve a lot of pain. A lot of it is extraction, but also it's important that if there's a serious situation such as this, then they'll step in and continue the care that they need. Same thing with medical clinics. We do general medicine. The clinics we take with us, and we go all throughout the different indigenous communities, and we set up the clinic there. We take our own pharmacy, and so after the patients get seen, then they get their medication that they need. But sometimes there's more serious health issues that we can't take care of that day, and so we make sure to document and then reach out and help those people in other ways. Greg's going to share an example of doing that. We okay on time?
Yeah, about 3 minutes.
Okay, so this is Maria. She was in such bad state, and you can see her legs. One is very, very skinny, like she's very malnourished, but the other has a huge tumor. She couldn't even get out of the bed of the truck. The doctors had to come and look at her in the truck, and immediately they were saying she needs to lose that leg. And then that emotional roller coaster as a parent, like, I don't want my child to lose my leg. And so now you've got all this tension going back and forth. Everybody's crying. And finally we got to a place where they said, okay, let's do this. And you can see in the other picture, like we brought her, we've been involved. She's looking more healthy in her left leg there. She's been taking a lot of protein, but unfortunately it metastasized. And you would love for everything that you do to help people ends with us skipping down the road together and happily ever after type stories, but it doesn't always end like that. But we don't stop just because it doesn't. And so we're still involved. As a matter of fact, we help it. The cancer treatment, they didn't have to pay for in the city, but it's the loss of work and transportation that is happening. And so we're involved in that situation. Right now, her numbers are good. She has a prosthetic leg, and we're just still in the game with them, and just praying that those numbers stay down. But if not, we're still there, and we're still going to be a part of that. And so we do look for, those are the things that we're looking for, because like Rachel said, we serve in those indigenous villages. Like, we don't have a come and see. Like, we go to them. Like, we go to their schools. We go to their community centers, and that's where we have our clinics. And so that's when we see things like this that doctors don't normally see because they can't afford them. So we bring the doctors and the dentists and the hearing clinics to them.
healthcare in these villages is almost non-existent. So, you know, they do a lot of natural medicine, which is good, but it doesn't always take care of the needs that they have. So once a year, we also do a audiology clinic because we partner with Florida State University and their audiology team there. Every year they bring their students and they hold a clinic. So in the clinic, they're able to see new clients who need a device and provide that for them, but also see clients that have already gotten a device and make sure their batteries are good and they're using it and everything's okay. So what do you think is happening in this photo of this young girl? She's actually hearing for the first time in her life. Yeah. So it's such a sweet. This is their 12th year. This will be their 12th year coming this year. So it's a very important part of what we do as well. This is one of my favorites. Did you guys get to go to this? Or no? This is called Golden Years. So Golden Years is a senior center. It's a day center that the community has. And they bring these beautiful people. People say Disney World is a magical place. No, this is the most magical place on earth. This is the sweetest place. So Porch de Salomon, we don't run it, but we stepped in to support it because the government was going to cancel it. They said, no more. And so we went and met with the mayor of this community and said, how can we help to keep this program going? And so we support them monthly. We have a book somewhere. A team came and said, I want to help you. So they came and they interviewed with all of the people, and their stories are absolutely beautiful and amazing. And they came, listened to their stories. Of course, it was translated from English to Spanish to Cachiquel, which is the indigenous language. And they created this beautiful book, and it's a means of, the proceeds go to help us every month to support what we do. It's called Their Stories. You can get it on Amazon. Yes.
So they come in with walkers and they come in with canes, and you know, I don't know if you're a Star Wars fan or not, but I was growing up. Okay, so you remember the scene where Master Yoda came in with a cane, and then all of a sudden things got a little tense, and the cane went away, and he's flipping, and he's doing all this crazy stuff. Bring out a piñata.
Oh yeah.
All of a sudden, everybody feels. As a matter of fact, Noe, one of our directors, it's so funny. The candy started coming out, and they started jumping. I don't know if you saw one picture where one lady was looking down at the other. She was looking at all her candy because she had a lot of that candy. And he just stood up and he's like, "They're healed. They're healed. It's a miracle."
Yeah. Oh yeah. They love when we bring piñatas. So we like to bring teams here too to fellowship with them. It's great. So, so that's our happy place, right? But we also are involved with drug and alcohol rehabilitation. We don't do the rehabilitation, but we sponsor people to go to rehab. So anytime a family brings in someone who needs that rehabilitation, we pay for that and we help them. We partner with two across the lake, Lonnie. And so Lonnie went through one of these programs years ago and started working for the Porch when he came out, and he's still working with us today. And we love Lonnie. So we also have another ministry that we partner with. So after rehab, often they were released from rehab and they would go right back to the streets because they had lost connection with their families and they had lost resources and opportunity. So this group, they actually help with after they get out of rehab, and it's like a halfway house, and it's about building community. So they build community with the men, and try to help them to reconnect with their families and get opportunities to work again. I think that's we're almost done.
And so we do have our own humanitarian center that's right behind our hotel and cafe. It's one big area that we operate from. And we use that humanitarian center. It has office space for our staff to plan on Fridays for what's the next few weeks going to be looking like, and try to make sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's and have communities ready for clinics or interpreters coming if we're going to do something specific. And so that's where a lot of that goes in. But it's also an opportunity for people in our own city. I think I mentioned that we're hosted in Rachael, which is kind of a vacation town. If there's people in our own community that need help, they can come on Fridays. We have our staff that's going to be there to receive them. It's also a time on certain Fridays that are people that are needing food, that they can come get food one Friday. Another one, they're coming to check their grades in because our lady, Ilda, she is actually kind of like a second mother. And so she's checking report cards because she realizes that there's people that are investing in our ministry and want to make sure that the students really trying to do well in school and stay involved. So have to see report cards and stuff like that. So that's our humanitarian center. It's right behind the hotel. And again, Rachel and I just feel so encouraged by the great work that our staff is doing. Even while we have been here, we've been in the United States for a month now. They've just dedicated 2 houses. So 2 families have now moved into their homes while we're gone. 2 families have started new homes while we're gone. It is their ministry to their people. Many times you're going to see them crying whenever they're at a groundbreaking, whenever they're at a house dedication, because they see themselves when they were younger. I miss my father. I had to be the father of the home. I had to do this. So it's really beautiful, and we get to be a part of that. And then we like to extend the invitation to other people to be a part of us being a part of it. And so if you're stirred, if you're interested, we would love to host you. We do believe that we do a really good job at hosting. It's fun, and it's really serious at the same time. We're going to take you places to eat. You're going to sleep in a bed. You're not sleeping in a tent, with a mosquito net around you. And so we really think we do a good job. So I know Emily has a team coming, and so we would love for you to join if you have questions to her or to us.
I was just thinking I would love for you guys to share just a bit of your experience. So it's always good to hear.
Sure.
I'm gonna not do that.
Okay,
I'm
that's
so
fine.
bad with microphone.
It really is an amazing place, and as Greg said, that it is not primitive. When you go, you are in a lovely location. Hotel California really is the place to be, and a lovely place. And and you're in your beds, and there's fresh water, and there's great food, and there's just such a wonderful energy there. The staff is amazing, and every morning would start with Greg and Rachael standing up and start leading a devotional time, and we would take turns and share. I think that was the most talkative Kayla was. She always had something to say about the previous day working out on the site, and it was just delightful. And sometimes, like I can't remember their names, but the Animo, the coffee folk, they would come and present and maybe sell some of the jewelry that their guys were making. Is that where your your sunflowers are from?
Yeah.
And then yes, Rachael is just a delightful, beautiful town, and we got to walk and enjoy and look at the churches and go down to the lake and just mingle with the local community. And I was always so excited to walk down the street because every single person who walked past you would say, "Buenos dias," or "Hola," and everyone was just talk, and it was just delightful. And I am the worst speaker of Spanish. That's about all. You just heard my Spanish, and so I just smiled and laughed. But it was really wonderful. And so we were there with a group from Crested Butte,
and along with the dental team. So we also got to meet people who we were working with who, you know, we didn't know yesterday, and, you know, now we know them forever. And what else? And like, would you like to say a couple things? Mom had a wonderful time. You had an experience that I didn't. You know, I would stay on the job site, and Mom got in one of the buses and one of the vans and went down and hung out with many, many children. And I'll let you speak to that.
Well, we took, but that was that day that it was raining so hard, I think. We were in that large open space, and I brought a lot of crafts, papers, and they could just cut papers and stickers and stuff. Oh, they went to town. They had so much fun. It was just really fun to work with them. But also, Emily's point about saying hello on the street, people tend to often, wherever you are in the world, often look away. They make eye contact. Everybody, old men, young women, kids, they make eye contact and they say hello. And the dogs are very friendly too.
Very.
There are lots of dogs and they're nice. They're all begging a lot. Yeah, they're no dogs around. And what else? Oh, this is from Guatemala, but I didn't get it when I was there. But I got it from somebody many years ago. Yeah, and this is very typical of this.
Yes.
This fabric is seen
Very
everywhere.
beautiful.
And that was a nice day out. We went to a town called
San Juan.
And it's a very pretty place, and the streets had umbrellas all over the tops, and all different colors, like as awnings, sort of just hanging up there. And they have a weaving factory where it's run by women, a commune.
Yeah.
And that was fascinating, how they get the dyes and weave all these fabrics. And that's all women. And then we went to a chocolate place, and then the coffee people came. There's so many things to see there as well. And then the lake is beautiful. And I just highly recommend going again. I will go again one time.
Well, I will.
I'll sit down.
That leading into that, so Greg mentioned we are hoping to have a team get together and go not this October, but next October, October 2026. And the plan is to do a joint team from here and from Crested Butte. So again, you get to travel with some other UCCers, and you know, I'm speechless. It is wonderful. It is an incredible energy and experience.
I didn't say that I loved hanging out at the bars.
And there's that.
There's a lot of that. No, there was just one in particular. I had wonderful music, and Tom Stump and Mike Black and I would go almost every night and sing some songs.
Oh my gosh,
The
if they
circus.
ever.
Circus.
Yes, circus.
Yeah.
And they are actually, Crested Butte actually has a team going in about 3 weeks, I think.
Yes.
And it's in a men's only team
Yes.
this time. But I think I know where they'll be hanging out every night. But on that note, though, not on the bar. If you are interested in perhaps learning more about being a part of a future team, I have a sign-up sheet here. You know, if you just want to hear about the conversations as we go forward planning. And then there's another list here to become part of, or to join the mailing list from Porch and receive these fabulous monthly newsletters. I have copies here, we have copies here from various months over the past year. And it's just wonderful to see the, you know, the information of what has happened in the past month. Oh, another dedication, and so on. So please visit up here afterwards.
Question. Yes. I do have a question. How do you interact with the powers that be, the government, and do they resent what you're doing? Do they support what you're doing? How do you know, this is a government that neglects these people that you're serving. Is there a little bit of a rub there?
Maybe in some places, but not where we are. Matter of fact, Samuel is Panachel's mayor. He's the first indigenous mayor of our city. Yes, it's so exciting. He's actually come to a bar with me and watched a football game, and he plays soccer with the community. Like, he's actually been to one of our job sites. Like, we brought him, the mayor of Tallahassee, Florida, came to serve with us, and so he and the mayor from Panachel went to serve on the house together. So we don't see that a lot of times. As a matter of fact,
Throughout Guatemala.
Well, there's two forms of government in Guatemala. There's the indigenous rule, actually, and the Guatemalan rule. So often there's two different entities in a town, but any indigenous town that we visit, we always work with the community leaders. That's how we enter into their town. We listen to what their needs are, and then we try to share, okay, this is how you can help us to make this clinic for your community help in the most efficient way. So our staff is indigenous, so they're very connected to all the different indigenous communities.
So what you're saying is you're not running into a lot of friction with the other governments?
No.
They're okay with what you're doing. They're not pushing back against you. They're not subverting you or anything like that.
No, especially not. So we're in the Highlands, and of course we can't answer that question for every community.
Right.
But where we're at, no, everyone's working together. They're actually very open to receiving the help. So we work with Sasan, who is the social work system of Guatemala. Not the indigenous, but of Guatemala. And Sasan, those social workers get paid pretty well, but they don't give them the resources to help their people. So Sasan comes to us every month and picks up all the things they need to go help their people.
Yeah, we partnered with that little girl Ingrid. You remember the one that was very, very skinny? She came to us through Sasan, and that's how we got involved. It's because we do have this very collaborative relationship with the little girl. Many times, the community leaders, the leaders, they usually carry a stick to symbol their leadership. They actually ask us, like, will you go look at this family? Will you go check this out to see if this is something you can help with? And so, like you said, I can't speak for all of Guatemala. I haven't been to all of Guatemala, but I do know in our community, we have a very good relationship with all the people around us.
The woman with a cold-hearted father-in-law, how did she get land to be built on?
Her mother had a piece of property, and next to the piece of property, or a part of her property, there's like actually a cliff right next to the road. So that was a very difficult bill. We had to dig into the cliff. So her mom gave her that property that for a normal person it wouldn't be buildable, right? Because it's a cliff and it's right next to the road. But we had to, hire different means to try to dig into that cliff, and then also to make it very safe because she's a woman with 2 children.
On a main road.
So, on a main road. Mm-hmm. So it was,
They actually, our staff, they're starting to modify some of the different designs that we have for house builds. So they actually, a lot of times the bathroom will be on the porch, covered porch, it'll be outside, but they flipped it with the door inside so that neither of the daughters or the mother had to go outside to go to the bathroom because they're alone and it's a very busy road, which there's a lot of traffic.
Other questions?
All right, we'll pass the book around. Maybe have you take a look at it.
That would be
Absolutely.
great.
Thank you.
So it sounds like you go in a lot of different directions and a lot of different ways that you're helping. And I'm curious, I didn't really hear how you got started, how you found yourself there, and because it seems like almost an impossible beginning.
Right, I am so sorry. We should have mentioned that. We didn't know how much time we were going to have, but we are not the founders of Porch de Salomon. So we're the second generation. So the founders were from Tallahassee, Florida, and he was a lawyer, and he just sold his part of the law practice that he was a part of, and took his family and started there just with his family, and started just trying to help in different ways. And this is what it's turned into over
20 years.
This month. We celebrate 20 years being in Guatemala. So Greg and I started in 2020. Well, we started the transition in 2020. And we moved there in 2022.
But how our family, specifically, how we got involved in Guatemala, Rachel's brother tried to adopt him and his wife tried to adopt a young lady back in about 02, 03, somewhere around there. But the lady who was in charge of it, Guatemala side, embezzled all the money and didn't do the work. And so they basically said, pick another kid, this isn't gonna work out. And they're like, no, this is our child. And so he sold out of a lot of his retirement. His wife and 2 daughters took up residency in Guatemala for about a year and a half, fighting, trying to get lawyers, trying to run ads in newspapers. And truly, that's like the gospel message, right? Where Christ pursued us. And so in that vein, they continued to pursue and adopted her into the family. So then later, you would think they would be bitter and angry because what a travesty, somebody embezzled my money. It ended up stealing their hearts for the people of Guatemala, for how lovely they were. So they started leading teams to Porch de Salomon before us, like we were doing other things in Nicaragua. And so we started coming and joining, and then they backed out. So we were leading teams, and we had already told our children, we had a really nice house that we built after my parents passed away. We sold that house to prepare ourselves for God's leadership, for when we were to go. And then a few years later, it showed up. And it was the beautiful picture of this all. We flew down June 5th to step into the executive director's role. That's a Sunday. On Saturday, I did the wedding. I was a pastor. I did the wedding for the little Guatemalan girl who's now a woman. Her and her husband got married, and I did the wedding the day before. We were dancing after the wedding, going, we need to go home and go to bed because we got a flight to catch tomorrow. So it was just really cool, and that's how we got involved. So our children understand it. We have adult children, and they understand why we ran away because they used to go. And that leads me to this. We don't know that there's a too young. I don't know if some of you may have families that you're like, we love to see families serve together. To me, it just builds unity within the family. To do something for God together rather than looking at people and saying we should be, let's go do it. And so we brought our children a whole lot, and so they understand, they have a different worldview.
We love to see, for instance, 3 generations come, right?
It's beautiful.
And we love to see families serve, and sometimes grandparents come with their grandchildren, or dads come with their daughters. We love to see that. Any other questions?
Well, unfortunately, that's the end of our
it.
hour.
Good.
So thank you to Greg and Rachael. For the mail lists and so forth, grab some pamphlets.
And we're actually going to be having a potluck after the second service, and Greg and Rachael will be here, so you can chat further over baked potatoes.
Are you performing?
Don't you sing?
Wait, no, you sing?
This could be a singing lunch.
There's karaoke too on Friday.
That's
They participated, I will say that. This reminds me of Guatemala. So they do, there's some shops there.
Yeah.
And this looks like, from Guatemala. I have a small version of this.
I'm Greg, by the way.
Yeah, so these carry a lot of time, it's just very versatile.
Oh, yeah. So much. Yeah.
Something else to open up for.
Speak about it.
If you weren't available, I was going to say, well,
We do this again, too. Both sides, you've been there for 3 years now? Like,
For us, it's just,
It's so funny because my family's been and then they moved to Georgia, so I was Georgia
it's the micro business. When we used to start the ones carrying the big, and that's when we started
that would take I don't exactly know when we started. It's a pretty large group in the
But it wasn't just eggs, it was just meat.
So they're on the team.
Move out, get a better job, doing something else.
Yeah, if they're in a village,
Yeah.
you know, that job from the citizens.
Oh, yeah, exactly, so.
I never thought of that. It makes perfect sense.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'd never heard of this.
I have never either, this is wonderful. I haven't even considered this.
I probably didn't have enough time for this question. I was wondering what your source of funding is. Do you get government assistance from the U.S. or private?
No, it's all private. That's part of our job.
Yeah.
Is to raise and support. But I
All
miss
the
the first church. My son's church.
That's what they said.
So,